My name is Jennifer Hayes. I'm 35 years old, an interior designer who built my own path in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was a Tuesday night when my phone buzzed with a text from my mom that stopped me cold. Don't call or come over. We're done. My heart sank, but I didn't cry or beg. I typed back 2 words. Got it. That was it. Years of pouring my heart and money into my family, covering my mom's medical bills, bailing out my brother's debts, keeping their restaurant afloat, erased in one text. I'd always been the odd one out, the one they never saw as enough. But that text was a line in the sand. By midnight, my phone was blowing up with missed calls and frantic voicemails. They were panicking, and I knew why. I had been their safety net for years, and now I was done. Growing up in Tulsa, our family seemed like the perfect American dream. My father ran a chain of restaurants, a local legend. My mother gave up her banking career to stand by his side. My brother, Brandon, for years younger, was the golden child, destined to carry on the family legacy. And me? I was the odd one out, dreaming of spaces and colors, not menus and profit margins. From early on, Dad made it clear what he expected. The restaurants are our future, he'd say. You'll learn the business, Jennifer. But I wasn't drawn to grease-stained aprons. I sketched floor plans in my notebooks. When I told him I wanted to study interior design, he laughed. That's a hobby, not a career, he said, his tone sharp enough to cut. My mother stayed quiet, her eyes darting away, already choosing sides. At 17, I was accepted to a top art school in Chicago. My dad's reaction crushed me. If you're not joining the restaurants, you're on your own, he said, arms crossed. No tuition, no support. Brandon, barely 13, smirked like he'd won something. I worked 2 jobs, waitressing and tutoring, to cover what scholarships didn't. Dad never asked how I managed. Mom's occasional, "I'm proud of you," felt hollow when she'd immediately gush over Brandon's half-hearted attempts at helping in the restaurants. He could do no wrong. I remember one Christmas when Brandon forgot to lock up one of the restaurants, and a break-in cost them thousands. Dad brushed it off.
He's learning, he said.
That same week, I got a lecture for missing a family dinner to finish a design project. The distance grew. My work was barely a mention at family gatherings. When are you joining us? Dad would ask, as if my career didn't exist. Their favoritism wasn't just a feeling, it was a wall, and I was on the wrong side of it. After art school, I threw myself into my career. Back in Tulsa, I started small, redesigning local cafes. My first big break came at 27 when a boutique hotel chain hired me to revamp their lobbies. My designs caught eyes. Soon, my name, Jennifer Hayes, started appearing in local design blogs. By 30, I was signing 6-figure contracts, building a reputation as Tulsa's go-to designer for luxury spaces. But home was a different story. 5 years ago, my mom fell seriously ill. Her treatment would cost tens of thousands. Dad's restaurants were struggling. I didn't hesitate. I wired money for her hospital bills, specialist visits, and medications. "We'll pay you back," Dad said, his voice clipped. I knew better than to expect it. Mom sent a text. "Thank you, Jennifer." That was it. Then there was Brandon. His food truck venture tanked within months, leaving him with a mountain of debt. "Brandon needs help," Dad said over the phone, as if it were my job to fix it. I sent $30,000 to clear his debts and another $20,000 to keep the restaurants afloat. Brandon never said thank you. Instead, at a family barbecue, he bragged about turning things around himself. Dad clapped him on the back, proud, while I stood there, invisible. I kept giving. A new walk-in fridge for the restaurant, a specialist in Dallas for Mom. Each time, I hoped they'd see me, not just my checkbook. But at family dinners, the talk was always about Brandon's potential. I'd spent years trying to earn their respect, thinking money would bridge the gap. Every check I wrote was me trying to buy my way back in. They took it all, hundreds of thousands over the years, and gave nothing back. My breaking point came 5 years into my career. I had been developing a new venture, a sustainable design firm focused on eco-friendly materials. I prepared a full presentation and invited my family to a meeting. I stood in their dining room, my slides ready. "This could put Tulsa on the map," I said, my voice steady. "I'm asking for a $200,000 investment."
Dad didn't let me finish.
"A pipe dream," he interrupted. "You think hotels care about recycled wood?" Sounds like a waste of money, Brandon snorted from his phone. Why don't you stick to decorating houses? I clenched my fists under the table. I turned to Mom, hoping for a shred of support. It sounds risky, Jennifer, she mumbled. The restaurants are what we know. Even Brandon's wife, Tara, spoke up softly. I think it's innovative, but a sharp look from Brandon silenced her. We're not throwing money at this, Dad declared. Brandon's working on a new restaurant location. That's our priority. I wanted to scream. I had given them hundreds of thousands, and they still saw me as a kid with a sketchbook. I packed up my laptop, my hands shaking. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the business plan they had so casually dismissed. Their rejection wasn't just about money.
It was about me.
They didn't believe in me, and that hurt more than I could admit. A few weeks later, after a tense family dinner, Tara pulled me aside, her voice a terrified whisper. Jennifer, you need to know, she said, her eyes darting toward the dining room. Brandon's been taking money from the restaurants. Thousands. It's why they're struggling. He's been skimming for years. My stomach dropped. I crept closer to the dining room, staying out of sight. I heard my parents' voices, low but sharp. We need to finalize the will, Dad said. Brandon's the only one keeping this family together. Jennifer's off doing her own thing. She doesn't care about us. She's given us so much, Stephen, Mom murmured. Money, not loyalty. He cut her off. Brandon's our legacy. We'll leave the restaurants to him. I felt the air leave my lungs. They were cutting me out, erasing me from their future, after everything I'd done. I slipped out the back door, my mind racing. Brandon's theft, their plan for the will, it was a betrayal on every level. The next morning, the text from my mom arrived. Don't call or come over. We're done. It was a declaration of war. I typed back, got it. Then, with a clarity that felt both cold and liberating, I opened my banking app. I canceled every recurring payment. Mom's medical expenses, Brandon's debt payments, the restaurant's utility bills.
Gone.
I had spent over $300,000 keeping them afloat. Now, the plug was pulled. By midnight, my phone was a storm of notifications. Brandon's first voicemail was venomous. You think you can just walk away, Jennifer? You're selfish, leaving us high and dry. Mom's texts were a flood of guilt trips. How could you do this to me? After everything I've been through? Dad's call came at 1 a.m. Jennifer, you need to fix this, he boomed. The restaurants can't survive without your help. You owe us that much. I saved the voicemail, not out of guilt, but as a reminder of who they truly were. They didn't want me. They wanted my money. Brandon's next text threatened to expose me. Everyone will know how you betrayed us, he wrote. I rolled my eyes. I stayed silent through it all. Each message, each call, was a desperate attempt to pull me back into their chaos. I had made my choice, not out of spite, but for survival. A week later, I agreed to one last meeting at a Tulsa cafe. I wasn't there to reconcile. I was there to close the door for good. I started with the truth. I sold my sustainable design project. I said, my voice steady. A national firm bought it for $1 million. I built that from scratch, despite your doubts. Their eyes widened. I gave you everything, I continued. And you threw it away. You chose Brandon, even after he stole from you. Brandon's face reddened. You're lying. You're just jealous. The receipts don't lie, Brandon. I know what you did. You don't get to judge us, Dad snapped. You walked away from the family business. You pushed me out, I shot back. You cut me from your will. You called me disloyal. Jennifer, we're your family, Mom pleaded. You can't turn your back on us now. You turned your back first, Mom. That text, we're done, was your choice. I stood up, my chair scraping the floor. This is it. No more money, no more calls, no more chances. You'll regret this, Dad said, his voice a low threat. I didn't respond. I simply walked out, my heart heavy, but free. A year later, I heard the fallout through mutual friends. The family restaurants went bankrupt. Vendors had sued Brandon when his hidden accounts came to light, exposing years of theft. My parents retreated into a quiet, isolated life, their legacy in ruins. Tara, I learned, had left Brandon and started fresh somewhere else.
I didn't reach out.
That chapter was closed. I moved forward, pouring my energy into my design firm. The sale of my project gave me the freedom to expand, hiring a team, and taking on international clients. My life wasn't perfect, but it was mine, built on my terms. The pain of their betrayal lingered, but it no longer defined me. I spent years trying to earn their love, but no amount of money or sacrifice could change how they saw me. Setting boundaries wasn't selfish, it was survival. It taught me to value my own worth, to walk away from those who don't. Family isn't an obligation to endure pain. It's a bond that should lift you up. If it doesn't, you have every right to let go.